Welcome back to the Henry Hudson Hour. My guest today is returning guest George Oberg. George is one of those people who can start with a story about a house being torn down across the street and end up talking about aging, memory, politics, art, friendship, and what it means to make the most of the time we have. In this conversation, we talk about the changing face of Austin, the strange ways our memories can fool us, the challenge of staying optimistic in uncertain times, and why George believes diversity in age, experience, and perspective is one of life's greatest gifts. We also get into retirement, creativity, weight loss, mortality, and the artwork George still hopes to create. As always, George is thoughtful, funny, candid, and unpredictable. Here's my conversation with George Oberg. Hey, George.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So just on a personal note, we're recording this around 9:30 p.m. Central Time. I just got out of my 91-year-old grandmother's wedding, and we'll have a lot to discuss about that coming soon because she is actually going to do an episode of the show soon, which I'm really excited for. But I guess overall it was a great ceremony. It was kind of crazy that she got married really quickly. It all happened so fast. I would say it was maybe a little poorly planned, but she put it all together at the last minute, and about 30 of the 40 people who were invited showed up. So that was a pretty good turnout. And I had a lot of fun. So I helped her all day with it. So I'm a little exhausted. But before we dive in, I just wanted to mention that. And I hope that you all are excited to hear from my grandmother, my 91-year-old grandmother who has lived in Austin since 1934. So that should be a really fun, engaging, and interesting conversation coming soon. The last time you were here, the house across the street was still standing. Now it's gone. You mentioned that got you thinking about Austin and change. What does that house represent to you?
Well, you can't live in the past and hold on to, these bygone memories because you miss out on what's happening right now. And Austin's just changed so much over the years. And that vacant lot across the street is a reminder that. But I'm into it now. I was a little worried, but it was relatively painless. It came down pretty quick, and I'm anxious to see what they put up. Hope it's nice.
I hope it's nice too. It could be a real disaster, but I know they've changed the laws, the city ordinances over coding, and there's been building codes, and there's been such a big fight about that throughout the past several years in Austin. Remember they had that whole Code Next plan that they wanted to put through. Yeah. And they wanted to change it so that developers could build more units on smaller lots. Density to increase density. And proponents of it said that it would help housing affordability, but people who are against it said that it would ruin Austin's historic neighborhoods, basically.
Well, and it's not just, this. So much of it has been presented like, that people are just mean-spirited. But I think a lot of it that gets overlooked is the infrastructure. So they're wanting to put all this stuff in the oldest part of town with the oldest sewer lines and the oldest, still have electrical lines up above. They're not buried.
Right,
well, the flooding aspect that the Shoal Creek, that people that have lived here for very long, remember Lamar being a river.
Yeah,
just shocking.
It flooded. I remember it flooded about 10 years ago, was it?
Yeah.
And it was when I worked at Whole Foods, and they were worried the store was going to flood. Because I used to work at the headquarters of Whole Foods Market in downtown Austin for about 2 years, and I remember that flood, it affected me greatly because it was my commute down the street there so I had to find an alternate route to get to work, and it was pretty bad. The Shoal Creek floods all the time because it's shaped like a funnel, and it gets wider and wider the closer it gets to the Colorado River in downtown Austin, and that's why it floods so badly at that particular part there by where near it gets to the river. And they did all sorts of flood controls after an awful flood in the 1980s. They put in pumps to pump out water from it all over the creek. But because of the effects of climate change and getting storms that dump more water faster, it doesn't really keep up with the change in the climate. So there's still problems with flooding down there. And that's a great point that you brought up, because I didn't even think about that, like impervious cover and all of that has to do with diverting water from these properties.
Were reasons for all of these restraints with impervious cover, easements, having to make sure that you did geological, before you did bigger structures, whether the foundations could support 4-story buildings, whether the sewer lines could accommodate the density. And so it's all, very well and good. I understand where they're coming from, but it's kind of like trickle-down economics. It's another one of those magical thinking. Because when you get right down to facts, they kind of get in the way of saying, well, maybe it wouldn't be such a good idea for these very reasons that people, put up before. And then, I don't know, it's
right. And the other thing that's interesting too to me about it is that Austin actually has built and 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 built so much so fast. We have built more apartments than any other city in the United States, faster than any other city in the United States. And it actually worked. And as a result of that, the city is actually kind of in a housing recession right now.
Exactly.
Because we've built so many units. We've ended our housing shortage that we had during the pandemic, which was horrible. Of course, I had to move in the middle of it, and I lost a lot of money because I couldn't find I had to make compromises. I had to get kind of an outdated apartment because it's all I could afford at the time because rent was so high. And now rent is dropping and dropping and dropping. And you can get a brand new place for less than what I pay where I live now. That's way nicer and better. So it's crazy how it actually building does help affordability and works. And then in the same vein, it's like now that they've already done that and it's like they've already kind of fixed the problem almost. And do we really need to change the city code to remedy it? And I know people in Hyde Park in my neighborhood are really concerned about it because all of the homes are historical homes. Most of them are 100 years old or more. And they don't want them to be torn down and eaten up by developers. I know my friend Ava, who's been a guest on the program, her house she is thinking about selling, and she is certain that developers are going to get a hold of it and use the property to build condominiums because that's what they did with the property next door to hers. And her house is over 100 years old, but it doesn't have a historical marker on it, so it's not necessarily protected. So that's a whole thing here in Austin. When people complain about Austin changing too much, what do you think they're really mourning?
I guess it depends on what age group of people. I think what they're mourning is the loss of their youth, that they're looking back, and what they're really, it's not so much Austin so much as that they're not young anymore. And all the problems that go with aging.
Well, that's a great perspective. I think that's really a good perspective because I always say my motto is it gets greater later, which I stole from Bevy Smith. I don't know if you know who she is. She has a radio show, and she used to be on one of those late night TV shows. I think it was the Hollywood Reporter show or one of those late night gossip shows, celebrity gossip shows that covered Page Six. I think it was Page Six, maybe. And she's done a lot of other stuff, but that's always been my motto, and it's I think my grandmother's motto. She just having just gotten married at 91.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, she's in great condition. She's really spry and sharp as a tack. Is there a difference between preserving something and resisting change, do you think?
So much of it has to do with facing facts, I think. This whole thing about home ownership, back to this thing about density, that somehow or another that's going to make it more affordable for people to achieve that American dream of owning your own home. And you read these different things and you look at it and think, well, how is that supposed to work? I think I just don't think it's real. I mean, it's always been hard to buy a place. I mean, the hoops that you've got to go through to get financing, or else you've got to have the cash to pay for it. And back in the day when I was like looking for houses and stuff, when I bought this house, I'm not going to go into the specifics of it, but it was possible for an average person to buy a house and get financing. But now it's so inflated. Although I heard from a realtor friend of mine that the value since 2024 has gone down about 20%. I don't know if that's true or not, or if that's just whereabouts in town that you're talking, depending on where you are.
Yeah, the neighborhood.
But you're right, Henry. I
code.
mean, like all these apartments that have gone up. Lamar is just unrecognizable driving from the lake to Ben White.
Like it got a facelift.
And exactly. And Burnett Road, same thing with that. I mean, it's and then there's lots of stuff downtown, as well.
Right, all the condos downtown, the skyscrapers.
It's mind-boggling how East Austin has changed.
East Austin has changed so much. It's totally been gentrified completely.
And the Mueller area,
yeah.
I mean, that's all. I mean, once the old airport went,
right.
It's been developed like crazy. So then you're wondering, well, really, is there this need? Is there going to be this need to do this to get rid of the historical nature of some neighborhoods for density? And my worry about across the street was that it wasn't going to be another single family residence, which that was what was torn down, that they would do a fourplex. And then, of course, right now they have it where there's no parking regulation for it. There's no easements. There's no parking. I mean, it's like all bets are off. And so that really does change the whole equation for a neighborhood when you're well, and then on top of everything else, Now's Pharmacy, that's going to be a 4-story just up the street. And that was kind of like
I didn't realize that. Yeah, they're going to build condos there.
They're going to build condos there.
Of course.
And then across the street, Sled Nursery, poor old Melissa, she passed on earlier this year. And they sold that property. And so it's going to be...
probably going to be condos too.
I don't know. I've heard it might be a restaurant. I hear all these things on the QT about
a restaurant would be nice,
going on.
But a restaurant would be cool.
But back to what we were originally saying about, having a nervous breakdown over things that you can't do anything about. It's just going to happen. Change is going to happen whether you like it or not. But I do still believe in the collective consciousness for change for good, that the more people that get on board with progressive thinking, that the better society is.
What's one change in Austin that you've actually welcomed?
Well, it's just a lot more fun to live in Austin now. I mean, the restaurant scene, if you love to eat, there's all these great new restaurants. I mean, it's kind of like a eating destination anymore, from what I understand. I mean, it's great. And so that's terrific. Then, of course, you have to have the money, to go out and indulge in this. But that's great. And
yeah, my feeling on it, I mean, I think I like a lot of the changes that have happened in Austin. I actually kind of like what's happened downtown. I think it's cool that, and I don't know if this is still true, but at one point in time, we had the tallest residential tower west of the Mississippi River in the country. I'm not sure if that's still true, because I know they just built a new one in Los Angeles that might be a little taller. But we had the tallest residential only. And the cool thing about downtown Austin is that most of the towers downtown are residential. They're not office buildings. Now, there are plenty of office buildings down there. Of course, the state government, it is the capital, so all the state government offices are down there. Be that as it may, the taller buildings are all mostly residential towers. And that's actually a little unique. Most cities, the downtown or the the central business district is businesses, mainly offices. And in Austin, it's not like that. It's mainly residential, which is kind of cool. And it brings a lot of pedestrians to the streets. And I think that's interesting. And of course, we have more bars per capita than any other city in the world, which is really fun.
So true.
And there's a lot of bars in Austin. But of course, for people who go out or used to going out in Las Vegas or Miami, I mean, our bar scene is much different than that. It's a little bit, they call it Dirty Six. It's kind of gritty. And there's also West Six, which is more shishi. Then there's East Six, which is in East Austin, east of the interstate, which is become really trendy and cool, and they've totally redone that area. They built tons of condos over there. They put a Whole Foods in on East 5th and a Target, and they're both in high-rise buildings on the ground floors.
Lots of great restaurants.
And tons of great restaurants. We actually have several Michelin star restaurants here now, which it's unimaginable when I was a kid. That was unimaginable that Austin would have a Michelin star restaurant. That is not something that was on the menu at the time at all.
Yeah, back when I first moved here, it was slim pickings. There were a few good places to eat.
So you told me you feel like you're in a different place every day of your life. That's a pretty unusual way to think. What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm not getting up, and I don't have the work schedule that I did once upon a time. Before, my life was very structured with appointments and the different tasks that needed to be taken care of. I think I had more ambition, and I was still kind of thinking that the dreams can come true if you believe in it. But all that's changed as far as what I'm wanting on a day-to-day basis. And like I was telling you before, I couldn't sleep last night. I was like, I don't know what is wrong with me, but I'll get on the computer rabbit hole and start looking at different things. And then I was reading, and the next thing I know, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm thinking, what have I done?
You've caught my illness, because that's so me. I'm such a night owl, and so was my mom. My mom was the same way, and I've been like this ever since I was a little kid. I remember being in elementary school and staying up reading all night, and I would look at the clock, and it would say like 4:30, and I knew my alarm rang at 6:45, and I would be like, fuck, I have to go to sleep. like as a little kid, and I would just like read with a flashlight under the covers and read all night long. I'm just such a night owl. I've never been a morning person. The morning is when I like to rest. It's when the only time I get deep sleep is during the morning. I don't know why. And I'm just such a night owl. I don't know why, but it's hard because it's not the way that society wants you to be. And luckily my job, I work late at night, so it kind of works with my schedule.
There's this word, it's French, I believe, louche.
Louche.
Louche. Mm-hmm. And that kind of applies here, where you're this whole thing about getting up in the morning and you have things to do, getting things accomplished, and making sure that you're getting enough sleep so that you're fresh, so that you can focus and you can perform and be productive. But if you don't really have anything that you have to do the next day, it just changes that whole equation.
Right.
Back to what you were saying before, So I have some things that I'm needing to do, and that's where the problem is that I need to collect myself because I'm wanting to do some paintings, and I have some ideas, but my studio is so jam-cram packed and cluttered up that I really don't have any room to turn around twice, much less to maneuver some big canvases. So I need to get all this straightened out,
right?
So that I can focus my creative energy, so that it's not thinking, I need to get all this crap out of the way so that I can have some room to work. I've kind of focused most of my energy this spring on my yard, which I may say looks really good.
It does look good. I have to say myself, it does look really good. I think.
Thank you.
It's unfortunate. My mother was a landscape designer. And
Robin.
Very unfortunate she's gone because she helped George with his yard all the time.
Well, she did. She designed the whole back thing.
Yeah, and it looks so great. My mom had such good taste.
She had a lot of input for years that she was
a good designer.
Coming up with things, and had this great crew of people that were working for her, and I think I've mentioned this before, but over the years, I've spent so much money having consultations with people coming in and telling me what to plant. And most of these people, they didn't know what the hell they were talking about.
Right.
And writing checks out for people for their opinions, and or even going one step further and having them buy stuff, to put in. And then it would all die, and they weren't taking everything into consideration. It's kind of like talking about that whole infrastructure.
Right, you have to plant plants that can grow here.
You have to plant stuff that
does well, that likes the soil here.
Likes the soil, that likes the heat. It
has to do with the soil, the heat, even the cold in the winter, because it does freeze here.
I mean, sure, you can do raised beds all the way around and put amend all the soil, but even when you do that, it has to be redone because it all kind of like dwindles pretty quickly.
And you don't necessarily have to xeriscape. I mean, you can do all native plants, but you don't necessarily have to. There are other plants that do well here. And the other thing that you want to make sure is that they're not invasive species. So there's a whole trifecta of things that go into it, a whole lot of thought and care into selecting what you plant here. And
I mean, so many times I look at it, I say, well, I guess it's really practical having cactus and agave and rocks and gravel and some deserty looking things. I mean,
Well,
it's
you know
kind
what they
of,
did at my place was heartbreaking, because a huge part of the reason why I moved to where I live is because it had gorgeous landscaping when I moved in. Absolutely beautiful olive trees, palm trees,
what happened?
rose bushes. The building got bought out by someone from out of state, and they pulled all of the landscaping out and put in gray gravel in place of all of the landscaping.
Didn't want to pay for the maintenance, and
The water and the maintenance. I had palm trees outside and rose bushes outside all my windows when I first moved in, and they're all gone. And they said that they were going to put in plants, and then they did, and they all died. And then they took them back out, and now it's just gravel, plain gravel. It's so hideous. It's this crushed rock, and my sister was like, I bet I know what kind of crushed rock it is, because it's what all the Californians choose. And I was like, oh, really? And I sent her a picture of it, and she said, yep, it's that rock. And I was like, oh my gosh. Of course. It's very upsetting to me that I actually had a dream about it last night. Literally, I had a dream that I came home and it was still landscaped, and then I woke up and I was upset because it made me so sick that they took out all those palm trees. That was the worst part for me. And thank God I saved the magnolia tree in the courtyard. I wouldn't let them cut it down because it's like over 100 years old. And so I saved that tree. I got the city involved and saved it. Does bleaching your hair and burning your scalp count as personal growth?
Why did I tell you about that?
Yeah, you did in the pre-interview.
I've got burns on my scalp. I like the color of it, but the
color looks great.
But to get it to the right
temperature.
I mean, I had to reapply bleach
multiple
twice
times
to get it because I bleached the whole head, and oh God, Henry, it burned so bad.
And when you tone it, do you use like the permanent toner with developer? Yes.
And that's got peroxide in it as well.
Exactly.
So that was like, I mean, my head was on fire.
Yeah, I've done that before to myself, and I've really burned the crap out of my scalp. And then I've been thinking, God, I wish George did my hair instead of myself, because I have really burned myself before.
I wish I could unscrew my head and put it on a peg and just do it, right? But I can't. So I'm limited to, because yes, I do it all myself.
Yeah, well, it looks great. I mean, it really does. But the color is really good, and so is mine. Mine looks so natural.
Yours looks better than mine. Mine's a.
No one believes that my hair is dyed. People comment on it at work all the time. They're like, I love your hair color, or I love your hair. And the weirdest thing, this happened the other day at work. This woman, she came in and she said, who do you remind me of from the 80s? And I was like thinking of all these people that I love and like idolize from the 80s, because I love 80s and 70s fashion. I'm wearing a vintage double-breasted blazer from the 80s right now, actually.
I love it. It's great.
And she said Nicolas Cage. I was like, Nicolas Cage? How do I remind you of Nicolas Cage? But she said from the 80s.
He was really hot back
in
his
the 80s,
youth.
I guess. Yeah, but I mean, I don't see.
No, I wouldn't look at that as that's a compliment, because he was a.
I guess I just
very
thought
sexy guy back in his
the resemblance or the hairstyling. And then this other guy,
He's such a good actor too.
He came in last night, and he said, you remind me so much of my little brother. And I said, oh, really? And he said, yeah, he's a model. He just moved to Los Angeles, and he's a model, and he wears the same jewelry and has the same exact haircut as you. And I was like, oh, well, I used to be a model too, but that didn't work out. Tell me the story. You remember being at this incredible concert around 1975, you said?
I do.
Was that the exact year, or do you think you got the year off maybe by a year or two?
Well, that's the other thing, talking about, your mind playing tricks on you. And so, as I recall, I started working doing hair in Austin in 1974. Yeah, I guess it was 1974. Was it 74? Yeah, 74. And so in 75, that was like, I believe it was in the spring. And I went to this concert. It was at Palmer Auditorium.
Palmer Auditorium. Okay, that's what I couldn't remember because I have been doing research. And now that I know the name of that, because he looked it up and found evidence that it may have never happened. And so I'm just wondering what that was like to think. And the concert that you remember going to was...
I remember that it was Earth, Wind, and Fire. I mean, that was what I recall, that it was Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Which is funny because when I did look it up, I saw they're coming to Moody Center in just a few weeks in August.
Well, no, this was 1975.
No, I know,
so
when they were real hot. But,
well, they were just kind of getting rolling. They hadn't had they were not, that was back in the days when there was no Irwin Center, there were no giant arena venues and stuff. They were, I don't even think they could have filled it back then, even if there had been venues like that. They were like, it was a whole different era for,
amazing
music
thing about
stuff.
Austin is that even still, in spite of the fact that we didn't have big auditoriums back there, we attracted the most amazing acts to come through town.
Well, yeah, there was the Armadillo.
Yeah.
And I guess people are going to, that's been so long, it's been gone for so long, but I don't know how many people could fit into that. I mean, it was a pretty decent sized place, but none of these venues were really like auditorium things where there was like seating and a stage and stuff. Like that Armadillo was like some old armory kind of a thing, like a metal building that was left over from something else. It was right there on Riverside and on the south side of Town Lake and First.
Oh, okay.
And kind of back there, like I said, making these references and stuff about there used to be Threadgills. Remember that Threadgills there? And it was like right in that vicinity.
It was sad that closed. Not that the food was that good, but it was sad when it closed.
It was sad when it closed because it was like an affordable place.
It was affordable. And it was...
and some things were tasty.
Yeah, I mean, I used to get veggie plates there in high school. Of course, I've been a vegetarian for about 18 years now, but I used to get veggie plates there all the time in high school. I'd go there with my mom and Sid, my stepdad, and then I'd also go there with my friends because we would go to events. When I was in high school, we would go down to Auditorium Shores and see shows, or Zilker Park to Blues on the Green or whatever, and we'd always go to Threadgills afterwards. It was like our spot. So it was sad when it closed. It was just convenient. And the food wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. It was good. It was just, it was like a Southern kind of... It was
basic.
Basic. Yes, that's a good way to put it. And
a great family type of thing that you could take the kids, because there was lots of different things on the menu, lots of different variety of...
Right,
and really a lot of different vegetables that they had on the menu. A good place to
take kids. Yeah, they had a lot of good vegetables. Their veggie plate was excellent. So according to this, Earth, Wind, and Fire was active in the Texas concert circuit during the 1970s, and while they headlined many major venues, specific set list documentation from that era for a 1970s concert at the Palmer Auditorium in Austin is not explicitly listed in available databases. However, the band was touring intensely in the mid to late 70s and early 80s, frequently playing top-tier funk and soul sets. The Municipal Auditorium, later called Palmer Event Center, was a prominent stop for national touring acts in Austin during that period, and it is highly likely that they played there at least once during that decade.
Well, I know they did. I mean, I know I'm not out of my mind. I have a very good memory for these things because it made such an impression on me, Henry. Are you familiar with their music?
Of
Earth, Wind, and Fire?
course,
Of course,
yeah.
everybody is.
Yeah, of
and
course.
So this was like the beginnings of it,
Soul and R&B is
and it's like it was
one of my favorite genres.
Huge band where they had horns and they had a couple of different singers and a great rhythm section, and then the vocals. I think his name was Maurice White, who was the founder of it. And so anyway, I like remember this fondly, and because it was like such an opportunity. But because I wouldn't have even known about it. It was like over there, and so I went with the shampoo assistant who was black, Carmen, and her boyfriend, who she wound up marrying. And I went with my good friend Blanche Napoleon, who lives in Palm Beach now. I called her up to ask her if she remembered it. But all my friends that are she's the same age I am, and nobody can remember shit anymore.
Right.
So it's like I can't really back this up, but I know she was there because we went to all this stuff together. I mean, she was into the funk and she was like really into Marvin Gaye.
Yeah, I love Marvin Gaye. It's one of my favorites. I love soul and R&B music. It's one of my favorite genres. I really dig that.
Well, did I tell you the last talk that we had? Did I tell you about my friends in high school?
I don't think so.
Brenda Bailey and Phyllis Hooks?
No. No, you didn't mention them.
Well, I was not a very popular person back in those days. In fact, I had a kind of a miserable... I really waited until I got out of high school and stuff that my life really kind of started getting a little bit better. It's kind of like they talk about gay kids and saying, if you can just hang in there, if you can just wait, it'll get better and you'll start enjoying your life and because it is fun to be gay, don't you think?
Yes, I think it's really fun. I'm so happy I'm gay. I honestly love it.
Oh, me too.
Especially in this era.
So the two friends that I had were Brenda Bailey and Phyllis Hooks, and we went to lunch every day. Well, I went to a Catholic high school, and so they were juniors when I was like a sophomore. That was when I first met them. And so we started going to lunch every day, and I had a little black Mercury Comet with red upholstery. It was such a cute little car. Didn't have air conditioning in it, but that was 1967 or something like that. So
I
a
can't
long
believe
time
I
ago.
had a car without air conditioning, and as recently as the teens, my family made me drive.
So none of us liked the food at the cafeteria. It was all these nuns that made this god-awful stuff. And so we would go up to this burger joint that was up the street and just get some French fries and dump a bunch of ketchup on and have some sodas. I mean, a terrible, terrible lunch. But we would play music on the radio and dance. And I learned so much from those girls.
Oh, wow.
Because those black chicks, they knew how to move it. And so anyway, I had a terrible thing happen, though. That we came back from lunch, and one of these guys said, this is like, I got my driver's license when I was 15. So I was 15 or 16 when this happened, I guess. And we got back from the lunch, and the guy said, oh, I guess you like chocolate-covered cherries. And I didn't know what he was talking about. I was so dumb. Of course, the girls knew what I was talking about. Isn't that awful? So racist.
Yeah, that is awful. So I found some evidence that they might have played on... Let me see here. Where did I just see it? No. Oh, September 28th, 1974.
Maybe that's when it was.
It says the opening act for Earth, Wind, and Fire at the Austin Municipal Auditorium on September 28, 1974 was the legendary jazz funk fusion keyboardist Ramsey Lewis.
So it was at Palmer Auditorium.
Yeah.
That's the one I saw then. It was 1974, so it was, because like I said, that
I
was...
think maybe it was September.
Oh my God. It was 74, not
It says
75.
promoters for the 1974 tour utilized the distinctive branding from the Open Our Eyes album cover. Posters featured a warm sepia and gold color palette showcasing the band members' faces layered with mystical Afrocentric art elements. Local Austin Prince usually carried a heavy block header saying in concert, Earth, Wind, and Fire with special guest Ramsey Lewis. This tour marked the exact era where the band transitioned into their legendary elaborate stage setups.
Yes.
Fans in Austin witnessed the group wearing matching silk dashikis, jumpsuits, and metallic platform boots.
Yes.
While Maurice White played his signature African kalimba directly into the microphone on stage.
Well, thank you, Henry. I wasn't out of my mind.
What I did...
You solved the mystery.
...is I had AI search the newspaper records. So that's how I found it. I said...
Well, I was on the wrong year.
Right. So that also
So what was the date? September of 74?
September 28th,
Yes,
1974.
yes, okay.
So it must have been during the autumn, not the spring. Yeah.
It was, I just had started working. And like I said, and went with it.
That's amazing that you got to see that concert. I know my mom got to see so many amazing concerts during that period.
That concert would have blown your mind.
I bet.
I mean, it was like, but we were like the only white people there. It was like amazing. And yeah.
I mean, it was a different time for sure. I've
always liked that kind of music, though, and there's I love to dance. Well, I haven't in so long. I'm now too decrepit to do it, but back in those days, I mean, I could work all day, and then I wanted to go out and go to the clubs and
let's see if I can get it to find a piece of memorabilia from it. So I think you're not wrong. I think you just had the wrong year.
Wrong year, yeah.
Let's see if it can find any. It says the absolute best visual proof of this exact show comes from the September 27th and September 28th print editions of the Austin American-Statesman. You can pull up the fully scanned text searchable display ads and original concert announcements for free with an active library card through the Austin Public Library Statesman Historical Archive. So,
Henry, you are my hero.
So apparently,
I'm not out of my mind.
I guess it really did happen, but it just was in a different year. It's funny. It says to look for North Loop. Antone's Record Shop has a location on North Loop? I was not aware of that. I think it's wrong. I think that's wrong because I can walk there from my house and I've never seen that. Of course, there's...
Boy, that was very early on in their career of Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah, gosh, for sure. And that's crazy that they came and stopped in Austin of all places, but it is the live music capital of the world.
Well, baby, the place was packed.
Yeah.
And it was like I said, there was a few white people, but mostly it was like, I mean, the brothers and sisters evidently heard about this concert and they, they knew that they could, sell out that evening. But the Palmer was not a very big venue. Not really. I don't know how many people could fit into it.
Huh. That's interesting. So I guess you could find... I don't know if I have time to find now. Yeah, because I don't have my library card with me. I'd have to log in, I think, with my library card.
What, to find out what the attendance was on it?
Yeah, and see the ad from the paper for it. Because it says that there's a fully scanned text searchable display ad, an original concert announcements for free with a library card, but I don't have my library
and
card.
we were all, in our
so I can't
clothes,
really search it.
the stuff that people wore back then,
I loved the clothes back then. I loved that era
that
of fashion.
70s stuff.
I
We were all
love
like,
it.
and my friend
I
Blanche.
wear bell bottoms every
You
day.
would have loved her. I'm going to talk about Blanche a little bit.
Okay.
So she was we're still very close friends. And the first time I saw her was, I guess it was probably like 1972 at the Pearl Street Warehouse, which was like a very early on gay bar that was on Lavaca. And she walked in. You know how you'll see some of these beautiful women that are like, where the room just stops and everybody looks at them, I mean, she was just so different and nobody thinner and a great dancer. Oh my God. And I used to love to dance with her. And I don't know where that she got the money for all these clothes and stuff, but she was like friends with a hairdresser named David Garvin, who I'd met before. And so then she was like his, I hate to say that's kind of the wrong term, his hag, but
Right.
but
Well, people still use the term fag hag. I mean, I guess it's not.
it's kind of pejorative, I suppose,
It's
but
not politically correct anymore.
I know.
I was muted. Sorry. I guess the term fag hag is not politically correct anymore.
I don't think it is. And but they were like, she was kind of like, his creation. He was a hairdresser, and so he did makeup, and he changed her up. She was kind of like a hippie chick, but she was, the perfect 70s figure for the clothes and stuff. And he chopped her hair off and colored it and plucked her eyebrows and all the bracelets and stuff. And I mean, just the whole, she could walk in super high heels and stuff and dance. So then this is when I was in art school, and he wanted me to do a portrait of her. So that was when we became friends, and she came and sat, and I did this wonderful portrait of her for him. I don't know whatever became of it, but it was like terrific. And so then we became very close friends after I did this painting, and we started hanging out. And so
That's
then
awesome.
When I started doing hair, she switched over to this hair salon, like people get so swallowed up in their look and stuff. And so she was the manager of the shop, and she was instrumental in getting me that first job that I had when I was right out of beauty school. So evidently when we went to that concert, because I had started working there, I guess in August. And so then went to this concert in September. Thank you so much. Because I was like thinking, have I lost my mind?
Yeah, I had some other questions prepared to you about memory. I was going to ask you, if a memory feels real and has shaped your life, does it matter whether or not it's factually true? But since the concert really happened, I guess that doesn't matter.
I want things to be true, Henry. I don't want. I see some people and they're just in la la land, and they'll say all this stuff, and I like. I've learned not to correct people, that I'll remember things differently. And if I chime in, people just get mad. They think you're correcting them or being a bitch or something. And maybe that's the truth, and I don't really.
What I'm like an expert as a college student at properly using AI. I've been trained by my school what wording to use to ask it specific questions to get correct answers from it, because a lot of the time what it gives back to you is bullshit. So you have to be really careful with AI. It's not, you always have to double check what it tells you.
I told you, like that book. The George Saunders book, Lincoln in the Bardo.
Yeah.
And you haven't read it yet, have you? But you should read it. I think you would like it. It's a very original piece of fiction, and I found it very moving. And then there was another book that I got that was by Louis C.K.
Okay.
And I think we talked about this before, but
maybe.
he was the disgraced comic that got
the British comic.
No, he's not British.
Oh,
he's American,
not?
but he had a TV show. He was very successful. But his MO was whipping it out in front of different women and stuff.
Okay.
And so
I remember
evidently
that.
he got into some kind of trouble with the PC crowd, and so he got canceled. Well,
cancel culture sucks.
So basically, the TV show went away. I think a lot of his gigs. I think the last thing he did,
was he the one that it happened on like a Zoom or something on camera, or was that a journalist? I can't remember.
That was a journalist.
Yeah,
no,
that was a journalist.
I don't think this was
real
filmed.
life. Yeah,
it was just somebody that was talking about him doing it, and then other people like chimed in and said.
I remember
but he did that. Remember that very controversial
and,
thing? It was like in Saudi Arabia, and one of the
show. That controversial. Yes,
that all these cameras
I think I covered that on the podcast.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, he went to that.
Yeah,
so.
I think we did. I hope we did. I know I put it in the news packet, but I don't know if we got to it. But
so anyway, he wrote a novel, and I'm blanking on the name of it right now.
Oh, I can
look it
up really quickly. My internet seems to be working. Knock on wood. Every time I do the podcast, my computer freezes.
But not today.
Not yet.
The name of the book was
not yet. Ingram.
So anyway, he was on Bill Maher.
Yeah.
And kind of like I said, he's kind of like been canceled, and so he was on Bill Maher, and then he was promoting this book. So you know how perverse I am. So if it's some loser that's had, that they've been canceled, I think I'm going to buy that book.
Well, it actually sounds interesting because it's about a boy from Texas.
It was really good. It was good. And
that interests me. Anything that has to do with about something from Texas usually interests me. And it says it's a stark coming-of-age story about a young, neglected drifter surviving in rural America. The book follows a boy who walks away from a dirt farm in Texas, facing harrowing trials like tornadoes and explosions.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of got some David Copperfield, a little Oliver Twist. There's some Dickens kind of twist to it, and it's Texas, and this Louis C.K., he's a smart guy. I mean, he's probably, a weirdo, but this book I thought was really good. Well, anyway, so I was telling my friend Hugo I'd finished reading it. In fact, that's what I did on Christmas Day. I read that book.
Yeah, I know.
And so it's not that kind of like you're talking about that you like to read something from start to finish sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
So sometime if you have a free day and you think, I'm going to read that book,
That's
so
a
it's,
page
I mean, you
turner.
can't like War and Peace or something,
right, but
that's not going to happen. But with this book, you can read it in a day. So I read it. I found it very moving. And so anyway, I was telling my friend Hugo about it. Well, then he gets on the AI synopsis thing, and they're giving this very skewed,
wrong, incorrect,
which I think they were incorporating all this cancellation of Louis C.K. that they were there.
Right.
So it was not,
it got mixed up.
So that was mixed up in with this talking about this book, and I'm thinking, kind of like making this child a sexist pig or something. It's like really sort of attaching some of these negative attributes onto this character, which was unfair. I don't know. It just really made me mad. I thought, well, this AI is...
It's very helpful, but you have to train it.
Well, yeah, but if somebody gets on that thing saying, well, I want to see a synopsis of this. Yeah. And I'm thinking for a lot of people that they don't want to read, they're too goddamn lazy to read a book, that they think, well, I'll just do the AI synopsis. And
as a communications major, it's something I'm a huge advocate of, and it's called media, not relevancy, not authorship, why the word is not coming to me right now, but it's something that I think should be taught in every single school. I think it should be a required high school course. Media, here we go. Let me look this up because what's the word, George? Media awareness. Media literacy. There we go. Media literacy.
Yeah, okay.
There we go. Oh my gosh, that was hard. Okay, so we are drinking Prosecco, so I'm a little slow tonight. Media literacy is something I think that needs to be taught in every high school in the United States of America. It's so important. And you look at all the stuff that's happening with AI, and it's more important than ever that it's taught to children at an early age, even beginning in elementary school. It's something that is a huge focus of my major. I've written many papers on it and how important it is for children to learn, and it's something I'm a huge proponent of. And I think in the future, it's something that I would like to work with legislators on getting done, because I think it's really important with the internet and everything. It's media literacy is basically understanding when something from the internet is real or fake. It's like, how do you know whether this is true or not?
Well, but to do that, you've got to read yourself.
Right.
And not just on the screen.
And
you've got to get a book. You've got to go to the library. You've got to get a magazine. You've got to do the due diligence that it takes so that you can get your own perspective. And
yes, it's the critical ability.
That's a time-consuming kind of thing.
To access, analyze, evaluate, and create media in all its forms. It empowers individuals to decode the messages behind news, entertainment, and social platforms, allowing them to think independently, spot misinformation, and communicate responsibly in a digital world. And the reason it's a huge problem is if you look, for example, at the 2016 election, it was a huge problem in that election. The lack of media literacy in the United States, that was appalling to me. And it became clearly evident that people don't have it, and that it caused, because they believe so much misinformation about the campaign. And then you look at the whole controversy over voting, and I see all over social media people on the right claiming that the election in California was rigged, which is, of course, it wasn't rigged. We all know California is the farthest left state in the country. Of course, Spencer Pratt was not going to win to become mayor of Los Angeles. 75% of voters in Los Angeles are Democrats. He didn't stand a chance. And they are quick to say, oh, they cheated. Democrats cheated. Well, if we cheated so much, why did Kamala lose the last election? You know, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up.
Well, but then again, just facing facts of who we are as a country, and it's shocking if you face it. Who are we? And, I think I was telling you back this last election, it nearly killed me, Henry.
Oh, I know.
It was before I'd had my heart surgery.
Yeah. And
I was having all this angina stuff. And for a week, I could hardly get out of bed. And of course, I don't think I realized all these blockages and stuff, that was the main. But I thought, I am just heart sick with this, that is who we are as a country, that this has happened, that
I was so upset. I quit smoking 6 years ago, and I smoked almost a whole pack of cigarettes on election night. I just sat outside and chain smoked all night. I was so upset. I was crying. I was very upset. I was like, really, that's the last time I had a cigarette. And I thank God I quickly did not
Well,
take it
thank God
back
I
up.
didn't. That really would have finished me off with all
Yeah,
my
that would
health
have
problems
really
and stuff.
been bad
Because
with your conditions.
a lot of my problems come from smoking for so many
I
years.
know, that's it.
So basically, I'm like, it's funny this talking about don't do this and don't do that, and whenever you've had heart disease, they say, well, the likelihood that it came from smoking and probably other things too. I don't know.
Yeah, you've mentioned that you've been thinking more about death lately. Is that because you're getting older or because you've become more aware of how valuable time is?
Well, it's because so many people that I know have passed on, and like Sid and Robin.
My parents, yeah.
And
It's
they
crazy.
were
They're
dear
gone.
friends of mine.
And they were gone so young, both of them, really.
And Sid, I'd known him since the 70s. He was like, he kind of dates back to, not quite back as far as that Earth, Wind, and Fire concert, but almost. I think I met him like in 1975, 76, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Gosh, I wish I could have been there. It sounds like such an
you would have
amazing
enjoyed
concert.
it.
I'm sure I would have. I love that kind of music.
Because I think it's great right now. I think it's better to not mourn the loss of the past and everything. And maybe I'm talking about, how much fun I had when I was younger and stuff and having energy to, but it seems like I really enjoyed things more, that I relished, these opportunities and stuff. And like I said, like that Earth, Wind, and Fire concert and stuff, I just can't tell you how fucking terrific that concert was. I mean, they were rocking. It was just great. The sound was incredible. And
Yes.
The vocals were incredible. And it was like, I think, oh, wow, I can't believe it.
Has your relationship with time changed at all?
My relationship with
Time.
I was talking to my friend Hugo, and he was talking about feeling like, leading a selfish life. We're talking about, this thing of, because he was out thrifting, and he was like, and I'm thinking, well, but that's a good thing in itself, that buying something secondhand, as opposed to the disposable society of,
Oh, yes, I totally agree.
But then this thing about being acquisitive and wanting more clothes and
I have a hard time with, there's all those thrift shops over on Guadalupe that have opened up around where Buffalo Exchange is.
Yeah.
And I really want to go into them so badly. But first of all, I never do because I know I'll spend way too much money. But of course, there's some in my neighborhood as well. But the ones in my neighborhood are quite pricey. Over on North Loop, they're very expensive, and so I never go into them because I know I'll spend way too much money. But I don't know. I'm wearing a vintage blazer right now, but I like vintage, but I try to get dead stock. What's called dead stock vintage, which is basically means it's unused. I do with the used stuff. I don't know. It's kind of weird for me. I have like a weird relationship with it. I'm like, I wear it. I do incorporate some of it into my outfits, but I would prefer something new. But I know it's bad for the environment.
There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, but what I was saying to him is, I think, your first responsibility, unless you're some kind of saint or Mother Teresa or something, where you're thinking, I'm going to dedicate my life, I'm going to go to the homeless camps and go take them some cans of tuna fish or something, I don't know. But your first responsibility is to taking care of yourself, being responsible for yourself. We're not mooching off of other people. You're not dragging your friends down. And so I think if you're, doing a good job with paying your bills and staying afloat and, so what if you want, whenever you're young and skinny, that's when you should have all these wonderful clothes because they look the best on you. Mm-hmm. You get to be an old fart and your stomach's sticking out and nothing's going to turn back the clock. I guess when you're older, that's when you really kind of need to be more careful with your clothes and stuff. But that's where it really starts getting even more expensive. finding stuff. It's very difficult to be on the lookout. But once upon a time, that was my main goal in life. All through my 20s, before I got this house or started, thinking, oh, I've got to have a house, and then of course that takes all your money to keep up with a house and stuff. But prior to that, whenever I would travel, and I was shopping. I was looking for cool stuff to wear, and wanted to have stuff that I'd come back to Austin and go out to one of these things and have people admire your jacket or your shoes, or say, well, where did you get that? Say, oh, I got that in New York, or oh, I got that in LA, or oh, I got that in San Francisco.
I love the places in
I got that in
California.
Paris. I got
the
that in
best
Paris.
clothes. That's where Goody got her ring she was wearing today. My grandmother, she was like, my cousin's wife, Allison, and I were admiring her amethyst ring, and she said, oh, I got that in Paris with Virginia. And
you know what? I love the way your grandmother puts herself together. I really admire her.
It's so unique, isn't it?
It is.
It's very, she wears a lot. She incorporates a lot of foreign fabrics, mostly Latin American ones, into her wardrobe. And it's very colorful, bright colors, a lot of purple, a lot of yellow, a lot of orange, and traditional fabrics that are handmade that she has purchased through her travels through the years. And I think a lot of her stuff is
a long time ago
custom made.
Yeah,
I remember
out there,
when you came
and she stuffed the turkey with tamales.
Yes, I know. She does that. She does that.
Who does that?
She tried that a few times. I think last year, I don't think she did that, but I don't know what she did last year.
And then the gravy. It was like, who makes this turkey gravy, that she was in there stirring on that when we were in there.
She did major magna cum laude in home economics, so she's pretty good in the kitchen.
And then your aunt, what's her name? Your aunt, that's married to your uncle.
Well, they're all kind of married. Virginia,
your uncle, the one brother.
Oh, Jill.
Jill.
Yeah, she makes amazing pies, right?
Oh my God, that pie was delicious. And I remember I was asking her.
I saw her today.
I said, well, what is your secret for this crust?
She's so sweet.
And she said, butter flavored Crisco.
Oh, wow.
Don't you love it?
Yeah, she grew up in a small town called Waxahachie. That's south of Dallas-Fort Worth. It's kind of become a part of DFW as DFW has grown over the years. And she makes the best pie. Her mother and her both, they make the best pie.
Well, and makes her own crust. I mean, that is so. Most people go out and they just buy a ready-made one, but not Jill.
Mm-mm.
She she brought 2 pies, and I thought, oh, those are so good.
You talk about dying, but in the same breath, you're buying canvases. That sounds like somebody who's still planning for the future.
Well, yeah, I'm going to pay. I mean, I'm not planning on checking out anytime soon.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm not going to say it was like a near-death thing, but you have open heart surgery, and, you don't know if you're going to come through it. They open you up and find out what's going on. It's scary. And
so you mentioned talking to someone who lost weight but felt like she'd lost some of the pleasure she got from food.
Well, yeah, she was taking Ozempic or one of those drugs and stuff.
GLP-1s are what they're called.
And she said that because the way it works, it really kind of kills your appetite. So basically, it's this mental thing that's very strange to explain. And so you're running through, well, what am I hungry for? It's like this, do I really want that? Or, because you really can't eat as much. You eat about half of what you've got. And then it's like thinking, oh God, I don't want any more of this. And you feel like you're being very wasteful or something, but.
Well, it almost teaches you portion control, sounds like.
Well, yeah, if you go out to a restaurant, most of the time,
and portions here are huge. In America, they're just huge.
It's way too much.
I know. That was one of the very first things I noticed when I was in Italy for about 2 months was how small the portions were. And I've always eaten like a bird since I was a little kid. I barely pick at my plate. I don't eat very much. So I was perfect for me. I was like, these serving portions are perfect. And other kids were complaining about it. And I was like, this is the perfect portion for me. And I felt it made me feel better about myself because I didn't feel like I was wasting food or being anorexic or whatever. Because I always got made fun of for being skinny when I was young. And
Oh, me too. But I never really had a huge appetite and
yeah.
that shut off thing I'm full. I think for a lot of people, they don't have that shut off valve in their brain saying I'm full. I don't really want to.
I don't know how people eat so much, but you're on it for other reasons, for health reasons.
Well, I've got, it's diagnosed as pre-diabetic, but
right.
but it's probably just my sister was diabetic and my grandmother was, so it's
okay.
It's
it runs in your. It actually type 1 diabetes runs in my family through my Goody's ex-husband, through his side of the family, and I've been tested for it annually since I was 18 because of it. And then of course my father passed away from diabetes, which was shocking. Because
it can kill you. All these different things, and
thin as a rail and really tall, just like me.
Doesn't make any difference.
But he still succumbed to it.
If you have those blood sugar issues and stuff, it doesn't make a damn bit of difference. It's just all lurking there, and it can wreak havoc with your innards.
So how much of life do you think is pleasure and like the pleasure that food brings us?
Well, it's not as much since I've been taking like I said, I was taking Ozempic and now I'm taking Wegovy. And it just kind of, that food's not, but you've got to eat. But once again, this whole thing, you must eat. And I see people that don't pay attention to eating some vegetables and fruit, drinking enough water, the different things that, that sustain you. I don't think you can do it from just taking a vitamin.
Right.
So
you need
it
whole
is important.
foods.
But then if you're making all these conditions and stuff, and then with the diabetic thing, I crave sugar all the time. I mean, I was hoping that the stuff would have that brain thing for me, that it would, say, well, like it said that it's supposed to help with alcoholics, that if you take it, that you don't have the
right.
The
it's supposed to be
cravings.
better for addiction. I heard that.
I still want sugar. I could eat. You brought that cake from.
I know. I brought wedding cake over. I feel bad now.
I've had that in the back of my mind ever since we started this.
We'll have some. It's really good. I like the lemon one the best, but I can't remember where they're all from. One of them, Jennifer, you probably know her. She brought over. She has a really fabulous house over off by St. Andrews. The lower school.
Yeah.
And she brought the carrot cake over, and then someone brought the lemon cake, and then someone brought the chocolate cake. Everybody ended up bringing cakes over. And there was another cake that we didn't even open or get to, I guess.
Good Lord.
I don't know what is going to, I guess she's going to freeze it. One funny memory I have of my grandmother is my Aunt Flora's wedding cake. She had frozen, and she had years and years after the wedding defrosted it and started eating it for dessert. Years and years and years after the wedding, and everyone was totally disgusted. It was hilarious.
Well, you said that was her MO, not throwing stuff out, that Depression era.
She has she grew up during the Great Depression, so she doesn't like to waste anything. Waste nothing. She does not like to waste anything. What happens when something you've always enjoyed becomes less important, do you think? I mean,
well, that topic, I mean, we could go into something, but it's a whole other area and stuff of what's coming to mind. And I think we've done an hour, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. All right. Well, we can get to news if you want.
I wanted to talk about Pelion.
Yes, we can talk about that in a moment. I was just going to ask you, You said diversity is a blessing and that you've benefited from friendships with people of different ages and viewpoints. Why is that important to you?
Well, it just makes life more fun and more interesting. And having friends that are different ages, and I think you would agree with that. It's just.
Oh, I agree completely. I mean, I'm friends with people of all ages, all different races, all different ethnic groups. And I love my friends. I think I have a really interesting group of friends, and that's part of the reason why I started a podcast, because I have such a diverse group of voices to choose from to discuss things with. And I think it's really interesting. All right, so let's get to the news. Hold on just a second. Let me pull it up. So I have to give an update on the Blake Lively case that I covered with my sister.
Please do.
So I don't know, have you been following this?
Well, I know they settled it, but I didn't know how that came out.
Because it's ridiculous. They spent, just to give a quick reminder, they spent over $60 million on this legal case regarding the movie. What was it? It Ends With Us?
It Ends With Us. Yeah, I saw that movie. Did you see it?
I haven't seen it yet, but apparently she claimed that she was sexually abused on set.
Oh, brother.
And they've spent over $60 million, $400 million lawsuit. Under the settlement reached last month, Baldoni waived his right to appeal the court's order last year dismissing his $400 million lawsuit against Lively. The deal didn't include monetary compensation, but left open the door for the actress to recover her legal costs and pursue damages under California law intended to shield sexual harassment victims from retaliatory defamation claims. Well, according to the Hollywood Reporter, they ended up the court ended up ruling that they have to pay her legal fees. Baldoni has to pay Lively's legal fees.
He can't squeeze blood out of a turnip.
I don't know. I mean, because those legal fees they racked up the amount of legal fees they racked up over a case like this, which seems so insignificant. I mean, this is not going to the Supreme Court.
So petty.
It's crazy. I mean, I think my legal fees are bad regarding my mother's estate, but this is crazy. $60 million. And according to this new California law that was passed, the judge ruled, it says today's ruling makes it clear that Miss Lively brought her claims in good faith and there was no evidence she acted with malice and that she is the prevailing defendant. Under the California law, she asserted, they said in a statement. Her lawyers added that Lively is gratified to show how the statute creates a path for survivors of sexual abuse to hold accountable those who weaponize online attacks and retaliatory lawsuits to intimidate and silence survivors. But the crazy thing is it ended with neither of them getting a settlement.
Well, what exactly did he do?
So,
it's like he was playing, in the movie, he's playing an abusive husband. So in the movie, he's hitting her, right? Mm-hmm. And so she comes from, her father was hitting on her mother. And so basically that's, hence the whole thing, that woman writer, I'm trying to think what she's famous for these books that have made a whole bunch of money. And this one was like very successful and well known, so I guess it had a built-in audience for people that would, want to see it. So yeah, in the movie, he's a real bastard, but I don't know exactly where in the, like sometimes you'll hear about people that are acting, and they'll like their method act. Yeah, they're taking that role where they sort of like they don't really turn it off exactly. So. Did he actually strike her? Did he try to rape her or something? Or what was the...
No, that's the craziest thing is that in all these documents I've looked at regarding this case, I've never really seen what the actual allegations are regarding it.
What the hell did he do?
No one has reported that.
And it's very hard for me to believe that I mean, she is such a rich and powerful actress. I mean, she doesn't have to work a day in her life.
Yeah.
Her husband is like, I think he's a billionaire now.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Wow, I did not realize that.
Well, you know, he's got that phone thing that he's been doing, that he's been hawking. That.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because
and she's done well, but not anything like the amount of money that, I mean, she made
married into.
Well, and she's had a bunch of kids with him.
Right.
And, you know, I mean, it's funny. I said something very that offended somebody before, you know, that we were talking about. I think she's had 4 kids with him. Is it four children that she's had with Ryan Reynolds?
Apparently, I don't know. I think so. I think you're right. Yeah. I had to look it up. I swear my internet always works better at night. It's amazing. Well, it says I married in 2012. That was a great year for me. So fun. Yeah, she has 4 kids. You're right.
So
1, 2,
4
3,
kids.
4.
Bam, bam, bam.
Oh, no, those are her siblings. I'm sorry. Wow, she's 5'10". Why doesn't it say?
I know she's got at least 3, but she might have 4.
That's a lot of kids in this day and age. I don't understand the mentality of breeders.
Well, they're rich, you know, and
have to be.
You'd have to be. So I'm sure they're cute kids. And I think it's so interesting because, you know, he was married to Scarlett Johansson. Remember that?
I do remember that. I forgot about that.
But they didn't have any kids.
I totally forgot about that. They have 4 children, 3 daughters, and a son. Born December 2014, September 2016, October 2019, and February 2023. Wow. I mean, I guess they sort of spaced them out. Wow, they live in upstate New York.
So I wonder if he's still a Canadian citizen or if he's...
Interesting. It says she claims that she has never had a drink of alcohol or tried drugs in her life. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what it says here. And according to a 2012 conversation with Allure magazine or whatever it is.
Well, I'm a fan of Blake Lively. I think I love the way she dresses. And there was a movie that she did called...
oh, wow. She launched... That's crazy. Okay. It says she launched Betty Booze. We just did a tasting of that at my store. Her
Is
product.
it non-alcoholic?
Yeah. Well... No, it's actually alcoholic. Yeah. She has Betty Buzz, which is non-alcoholic mixers. And then she launched in 2023 Betty Booze, a line of alcoholic canned cocktails. I didn't realize it was a celebrity brand, but we've been doing a tasting of it every weekend. They're pretty good.
So she doesn't drink, but she's
apparently
had a line of booze. Well, anyway, she made this movie called The Age of Adeline.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of that movie. I haven't seen it.
I love that movie.
It's from 2015. With it has Harrison Ford in it. I've got to see it. I'm such a huge Indiana Jones fan.
And Ellen Burstyn is in it.
Yeah,
and,
I love.
And then I don't know what the guy's name was that played her romantically, but he was so
mainly
cute.
More than the movies. I love the ride at Disneyland. It's my favorite ride at Disney, Indiana Jones. So that's why I love the movies.
Well, this movie I think you'd like. It's like I said, it's a rom-com thing. But anyway, so she plays this woman, and she's in a car accident. She gets hit in the head, but she goes underwater, and then she doesn't age.
Oh, okay.
So she's like frozen in this 26-year-old.
The opposite of death becomes
Blake
her.
Lively at her peak of her beauty, you know. And I mean, I don't know if you remember or not, but back in that, there was nobody prettier.
Yeah.
And she was like a great figure, great tits, great ass, great legs, and then that dreamy face and fabulous hair. And I think the whole world fell in love with her with that.
This California law protecting sex abuse claim victims is really interesting in it. And I'm currently taking media law, and I've been struggling with this whole concept of without malice or with malice. In these claims
there's
that
the
I've been
distinction with
working
something
on.
about that about something would stick, because like I said, if you're talking about a misunderstanding, and I like to joke around, about sex, but for a lot of people, they are very, very, very hypersensitive about it. That somehow or another, just words can trigger them. And
it says Baldoni's lawyers said that they fought and won against a coordinated effort built on allegations of sexual harassment and retaliation in a smear campaign that never happened. Ms. Lively demanded over $300 million in fees and damages, had 10 of her 13 claims dismissed, and then she chose to settle and received nothing. But they still are on the hook for the legal fees, which is so interesting to me. I think that new law in California, might be a little problematic.
Well, they can dream on that they're going to, at first when this happened, I thought it was some kind, I thought it was a publicity. Right. I thought it was some kind of a thing, because that movie that we're talking about, it was not getting the buzz that they thought it should get. I think it was like, I think they were thinking, oh, Blake Lively, the second coming, she's going to come out and romantic comedy, and everybody's going to be, there's going to be this huge ball cup. I think it did okay, but I don't think it did great. So I thought that this whole thing was some ploy for publicity, having this thing in there. I thought, well, how on earth could that possibly be good for this production? But you know what they say, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
No, of course not. Yeah. It says, while the court denied damages in this case, it left open the possibility for Lively to seek additional damages through another lawsuit or counterclaim against Baldoni or Wayfarer, which didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. So this could continue to go on, apparently, which is absolutely unbelievable. Well,
like I said, how about something is just a misunderstanding? Right. How about something is a misunderstanding? How about, admitting the fact that so many of these actors have these giant egos that, you hear about some of this shit that they pull, and you're thinking, oh my God.
I've tried to date a few actors and I can't deal with the ego thing. It's too much for me. I'm like, I don't do that. I'm a Scorpio.
So you're not into giving tongue baths?
I feel
lick my pits. I'm feeling a little stale.
Oh gosh, I feel
sure.
With these actors, it's just, God. Mm-mm. Hell to the no, no.
So what's next?
All right, next we're going to cover, hold on.
Are we ever going to get to Pelion?
Yes, it's the last story.
Okay.
We will get to it. Oh, I was going to talk about Rosie O'Donnell's facelift. Did you see her?
I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah, okay, so you already saw her. I didn't know if you brought up the news packet or not. But I think it looks great too. And speaking of facelifts, there was someone at my grandmother's wedding who recently had a facelift, and I think I might have fucked up a little bit because I was like, oh, you look great when I saw her. She did look really good, but I don't think I was supposed to know that she had a facelift. I think
you didn't say that, did you?
I think it was a secret.
You didn't say that she'd had
some
work done?
No.
Well, if you didn't say that, if you just said she looked great.
I don't think I did. I would
hope you wouldn't have.
I hope I didn't.
It's one thing if somebody
I don't know.
volunteer if they
I don't
if they
think I
share
did.
that
I don't think I
information.
did. I don't think
But
I
it's
did.
never a good, saying, "Oh, if you had some work done," that's kind of
But
tacky.
I gossiped about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, as long as she wasn't in earshot.
I hope she wasn't. Because I
But you
really
said it
like
looked
her.
good. But if you said it looked good,
I just kept complimenting her.
It was a
like, I love
positive-
your dress.
if
I
it was
love
a
your
positive-
jewelry. I love everything.
If it was a positive gossip,
I'm
then I
always
think
very
that's okay.
complimentary to people. I love giving
I'm always
compliments.
supportive of people self-improvement.
I love giving compliments. And my cousin Georgianne, oh my God, her dress, I loved it so much. It was so fabulous, George. And the second that I saw her, I said, I love your dress. And she said, I was literally thinking of you when I zipped it up. And I was like, really? I don't know if that's true or not, but
Probably wish that you were there to zip it for her.
it was gorgeous. It was
Since you had to be the lady in waiting for your
so fun.
grandmother.
Well, I'm glad that she dressed up because some people came so casual, and I don't like that, you know.
I think it's interesting that your grandmother's asking you to be the person helping her out with all this stuff instead of one of the granddaughters or her own daughter to come in and help her pick out her.
Well, Virginia did come early, which I really appreciated. And she did help a little bit, but no, I mean, it's because I live the closest. I live closer than anybody else, so I guess that's why I'm always on the hook.
Oh, God, the amount of time that I've spent in women's bedrooms, closets, bathrooms.
Oh, God,
in the process of pulling it all together for a party
too.
or this, that, a wedding.
Well, I'm glad she didn't ask me to help her get dressed because I thought I was going to have to help her. But she picked that's her new look. She looks great. I think Rosie O'Donnell, it doesn't look like she had a facelift, right? Like she just looks natural. She doesn't look, see, that's the before and after. It's very subtle.
Yeah. I mean, she was never any raving beauty, so.
Right. But I think it's very subtle. And that was like the woman that I saw today. It was very subtle.
I'll tell you, that's one of the things that I hate the most about Donald Trump is how ugly he is to women and what he said about Rosie O'Donnell. I mean, nobody deserves that.
The things that he said about her were
meanness.
Horrible. I remember when they had their feud, I followed that very closely when that was happening. And I think it was before he even became president, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah.
And it really disgusted me. I was at that time when her and Barbara Walters were on The View. I was a huge fan of that show because I used to skip school and watch it all the time. It was so entertaining with that cast. And that's how I became a fan of the comedian Michelle Collins, who I listened to her podcast almost every day because she was on there for one season. I don't watch it anymore, though. I don't know. The new cast is kind of boring to me. So John Stamos says his 80s nose job was fixed by Michael Jackson's doctor. He just revealed this on June 13th. Wow, I can't believe that was yesterday. Well, this is his current nose here. That's a current photo. But Michael Jackson's nose job, I don't think was very good.
Oh, no.
So I don't think I would be bragging about that. But I was trying to do is figure out what was his botched nose job. He says it was when he was on General Hospital. He didn't like the way it looked. So he got his nose done and it didn't look great. Now, when I was growing up, I watched Full House being a 90s kid, and I always had a huge crush on John Stamos when I was a little kid. I always thought he was so cute. But this is a picture of him from 1982. I don't know if that's the pre-op or post-op.
Well, but they're
nose.
not showing the profile.
Yeah, because we can't see if there's like a bump.
Because it looks very different in the profile.
It's going a little slow now, but... Oh, please. Jackson, it says, admitted to having 2 cosmetic procedures done on his nose. I think he had way more done than that. This was him later in 1993. Now, it looks really good to me there. I think that looks fine. So I guess that was after he had it fixed.
Yes.
But they don't show the profile, you're right, of the before. His nose now, it kind of looks, I mean, I guess your nose never stops growing.
No.
So it looks different now. I always felt very blessed that I have a small nose. But I do have a bump from one side. You only can see it from one side. So I have a good side and a bad side.
Oh, you don't have a bad side. They're both good. Who's that woman with him?
Caitlin McHugh. I guess that's who he's dating. She's quite attractive. I don't know who she is. Oh, it says Stamos and McHugh married in 2018. They welcomed their son Billy later that year.
You know, he was married to Rebecca Romaine. You know who she is?
Yes, I do remember that. I think that was when I was a kid.
And they were married for quite a while.
Yeah.
And then they divorced, and then she married, what is that guy's name? He was a child actor. He was kind of chubby, a chubby child actor.
Huh. I mean, I can see why he would have wanted to get it done, but I wish there was a picture of what the botched nose job looked like. Oh well. I can't.
Well, so many times with these people, if they've got people that are any kind of bad photographs, they're not allowing out.
Right, especially back then.
I
mean, now you can't do that anymore. So I wanted to just touch on the Senate race in Texas for a moment and talk about Tallarico. I don't know if y'all saw this really creepy AI-generated ad that Republicans are running against James Tallarico. Did you see that, George?
No.
Well, they released... Hold on. So a new ad in the contentious Texas Senate race features an AI-generated James Tallarico, the Democratic candidate, singing a song about trans kids. Citizens for Sanity, a pro-Trump political action committee, has purchased a small ad buy in order to air the spot, according to the Daily Caller. In the ad, the fake Tallarico sings a parody version of My Favorite Things from the 1959 musical The Sound of Music, with lyrics such as "Boys in white dresses with blue satin sashes, girls dosed with hormones till they grow mustaches." It's awful, George. It's literally disgusting, and it's completely fake, and it looks real. It looks so real that these dumb country bumpkins are going to see this circulating on the internet, and they're going to think that it's an actual Tallarico ad. Which is why we need to teach media literacy in schools.
Haters gotta hate.
It's shocking. I think it's in a news packet. If you want to look at it, there's a clip of it in there, so you can look at it later if you want. But it's crazy. It's like Fox News's Jesse Waters has claimed that Tallarico is a gay vegan. They're using attacks, transphobic and homophobic remarks against him as attacks on him, which I think is fascinating since he's totally heterosexual and not vegan, which...
Well, they don't have a problem with lying. And that's just it, you know. And you're right about people that are this battle of the masculine versus the feminine. And that's where we've been at for quite a while. And so what does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a woman? Let's break it down. And I mean, that's the thing. This soap.
I have another article that's about just that. I think maybe I removed that one, but you know, he's very soft-spoken, this Tallarico, and I think that's why they're calling him gay. But
well, like I said, it breaks down this thing about what does it mean. Well, so it means a man means that you're rough and tumble, you're not afraid to fight, you're not afraid to get hurt, but more importantly, you're not afraid to hurt other people. So if you are a hunter-gatherer and you've got some kind of problem with killing an animal to eat,
right?
Back to all these things, that or the whole thing with women being subservient and passive, and you're thinking, what world is that? Does that really exist? I don't think so. And yet,
women
it's like this fantasy thing of people that are
not.
And so, as we speak, there's going to be this wrestling match on the grounds of the White House.
Oh, it's disgusting. I should have put
and
that in here too.
They're saying that there's all these people that love it, that they relate to this, and it's like I said, back to talking about the last election and stuff, and saying, well,
wrestling.
Who are we as a people? Because, like I said, I'm not going to let off the hook all these people that didn't even bother to vote,
right?
Or people that say, well, I really don't care about any of that.
And I think
I'm
part
too
of the
cool
problem
for school.
too is the far left, because I think the far left checked out of the election because of Palestine and because of Palestine mainly. And I think that was totally detrimental because they refused to vote for the middle, for the moderate candidate.
Well, or like Blake Lively that you were just talking about, that's a case in point. And you're thinking, all that money, all that energy about what exactly, that your feelings were hurt, that you were offended somehow or another.
Right. I just don't understand what happened.
And
never got to the crux.
And you never really get to what exactly it is that
they never reported. And I've been following this story for weeks.
Oh, I've followed it since the beginning, and I've never been able to get a crack into exactly what happened. And like I said, that's what was making me think, then meanwhile, her husband's raking the money in, but yeah, what is the point of all this? But then again, they're in that 1% group, that the rules don't apply to them anymore. And it's like I'm thinking about this election coming up, and if there's going to be any hope of saving the rule of law, we have got to get Democrats back into although I'm not saying that I think the Democrats are all that much better in a lot of ways. They're a bunch of crooks as well, probably, but still, I don't think
much better. It's
much better. Well, like I said, that whole thing about the insider trading.
Yeah,
I know all the years that
issue.
Nancy Pelosi was, in a position of power that probably could have moved the needle on all of that. And didn't.
And now, in the most recent polls, Tallarico leads Paxton in all the polls. They're close, however.
But
they're very close.
All this other stuff I think it's going to backfire, because I think a lot of people are fed up with Ken Paxton.
Right. I can't believe they selected him. And one thing that I read was that 120,000 Republicans voted in the Democratic primary in Texas this year.
Yep.
And I think that's part of the reason why Paxton won, because those Republicans who voted in the Democratic primary would have voted for Cornyn in the Republican primary if they had voted in the Republican primary, but they didn't. So, which is also one could argue is part of the reason Tallarico won, but however, I would like to think that Texans vote to win and not to lose when we select our candidates here. Because in a lot of states, such as what's going on in Maine, I don't know if you've been following that race.
Oh, yeah. And that guy.
With the guy with the Nazi tattoo as a Democratic candidate with allegations of being domestic abuse in his past, Planter. not a great candidate, very flawed. But at this point in time, with Trump as president, I guess it's anything fucking goes.
Well, it just goes back to this thing about show business for the unattractive, that people go into it for all the wrong reasons, that they want to make money. And public service, are you joking? I mean, it's this pathway to insider trading, thinking, I can get rich if I get this elected office, or influence peddling that you're thinking that you might, because like I said, the governor of this state doesn't make any money, the lieutenant governor doesn't, but they all are rich from.
It's all a big racket. Really, it is. I know. I read an article about Susan Collins, who's the current incumbent in Maine, the Republican senator, and how much money she's made over the years.
A ton.
Millions, hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. It's staggering. It's shocking. And
it's disgusting.
Yeah, and I know Nancy Pelosi has done the same thing.
Yeah.
So it happens on both sides. I found a website one time that followed Nancy Pelosi's stock trades. So people, regular people, could trade their stocks based on how she was trading her stocks. And it was really entertaining. I watched it for a while, but I don't have any money, so I never try to invest any of it. I was also scared too.
It shouldn't be that way. It should not be that way, but it is.
Yeah, it says.
But I haven't lost hope, and I'm really hoping that Tallarico, because my God, if he can't win the morality police over, I don't know who the hell. Because he seems so squeaky clean, Christian minister.
Yeah, Presbyterian theologian. And I know that Presbyterian ministry he went to is right down the street from us. It's right by UT and North University. I've been in there before for some reason. I don't know why I went there.
People that have these theology degrees and stuff, and it's very interesting how. And back again, it's like politics, another show business of the unattractive, and people that go into it to. Well, because they're not a good enough singer or dancer or actor, and there's more money in that. And, but I don't think he's one of those people. I think he actually is on the level. I hope anyway. But let's talk about Pillion.
All right,
because I'm dying to hear what you found out from the.
So it's really interesting. There's several different versions, and it's going to take a moment here for it to open. So just bear with me for a minute. So this is really interesting. This is about this movie that we went and saw together called Pillion, which was actually really good. And it says movies with strong sexual content are navigating in the streaming era with a confusing multiplicity of versions cut to match ever-shifting sets of standards. This week, A24 released the home video version of the award-winning indie film Pillion, a totally daring gay romantic drama adapted from the cult 2020 novel Box Hill, which I didn't realize it was based on a novel. I think you had mentioned that to me, but of course I forgot. Subtitled The Story of Low Self-Esteem, the novel by Adam Mars Jones, who co-wrote Pillion's script with director Harry Lighton, chronicles the ups and downs of a BDSM relationship between kink newbie Colin and strapping biker Ray, an often leather-clad and unclad statuesque disciplinarian right out of a Tom of Finland fantasy. That's funny. The theatrical version, which opened in early February in the US and played until recently nationwide, stars Herring Melling as a besotted, I'm sorry, I can't see. Colin and Hollywood's current perverse pansexual demigod on speed dial, Alexander Skarsgård as Ray. That version had lingering shots of Ray's penis, a lifelike, girthy prosthetic, extended and unusually graphic for mainstream, depictions of sex between the leads, and hefty amounts of Dolby enhanced grunting and moaning. So what it goes on to say basically is that in this era, what they're doing now is they're making all these different versions of these movies. So they have like 5 different versions of it now where they show different parts of the. So it says, but is that the version of Pillion landing on premium video on demand and on subscription video on demand starting this week? No. And so the Pillion NC-17, the home video movie Pillion just got an R rating after edits and is officially now the only version titled Pillion. So they've edited it basically to make it R rated. And the version we saw in theaters is not available anymore.
No.
Yeah. Which is really stupid, honestly. I mean...
Let me get my thing of it, and let's see if it is R-rated. Hang on a second. I'll be right back.
Okay. No, it doesn't have a rating. Oh, shoot. Didn't mean to do that.
Because this one is even different than the one that we saw at the movie theater.
Oh, really? So the
Yeah.
DVD is even different than the one we saw in the movie theater.
It seems like, I mean, the one on HBO is, they really don't show
The penis at all.
at all. This one
On
you can
HBO.
you see a little bit of, but I don't know, since it's on a smaller screen. But as I recall, you actually saw.
Yeah, you saw like the whole thing.
You saw the whole, head of his, and it seemed like he had like a Prince Albert thing on it,
Oh Lord, I don't like those.
like a piercing.
It says the home video movie just got an R rating after edits, even though yours doesn't have an R rating on it, and it's officially now the only version. It says this brief post summarizes three key issues in modern free distribution and fandom. How many versions exist of each film being released? Which ones are we watching at any given time? And was there really an earlier time, especially in the US, when standards-driven censorship of content was different, more lax, less infantilizing of audiences? Pillion is a good case study. Back in February, Entertainment Weekly reported that Alexander Skarsgård's prosthetic penis close-up got trimmed down even before the supposedly not rated theatrical release. There was about one shot that went, and that was not because Harry Lighton got nervous. They told EW at the time during a joint interview with Skarsgård. In the alleyway scene, there was a close-up on Ray's penis as he sort of zipped down, and I think when they started to preview to audiences, they realized that this was a moment where the audience would react and the tension would be released with laughter or what have you. So it says that there was a pre-festival cut of the movie that was raunchier even than the version that was shown at Cannes in May 2025. These rumors originated with the cast and crew itself. In various junket interviews, they had hyped up cutscenes of a close-up of a hard dick, aiming down at the barrel of the lens, as part of the raunchier version of the movie Pillion. What you've seen at Cannes is a friendly version, Skarsgård joked. There's also the Alexander Skarsgård cut, he added. Interesting. So how many versions of Pillion are there? What are they rated? And which ones will you be watching on HBO Max, Video on Demand, maybe Criterion at some point, perhaps Canopy or Gas Tubi? How about during a long flight? The Hollywood Reporter spoke to sources close to the production who insist there are only 2 main versions of the film. One is the not rated version, which was shown at festivals and then opened theatrically in February and has the director approved amount of prosthetic penis butts, sex sounds, and consistency of prop semen on Melling's radiant post-coital face. The second version is the one that obtained an R rating from the MPA last week. Requested changes reportedly involve the amount of sexual content in the alley oral sex scene, the film's signature wrestling scene, and the biker picnic sequence. The changes were described by people close to the production as light edits both of visuals and sounds.
Well, if you remember, with the wrestling scene, the passive guy had an erection in it, so you could see that there was and they edited that out a lot in the HBO thing, where he was like, he was excited through the thing. But
it sounds like there's just two versions, so... But I had thought there were three, but it does sound like there's just two.
I think there's just two, yeah.
Yeah. So do you think the DVD is the original?
I mean, because I looked at the thing, and it's... But you can't, I guess I could, with my new DVD player, you can't do the stop. I don't know how to do the stopping thing on it, so I got to the deal, and I was trying to, fast forward, and then it seemed like the whole thing got out of sync, where then when I stopped it, that the voice was not lined up with the... Yeah, so I don't know.
Well, it just opens an interesting discussion on censorship in media and...
And penises, why on earth that would be... This would be like an integral part of this whole story, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. And it's a great
this whole thing
movie,
about this
by the way,
pussyfooting
if
around,
you
they
haven't
make
seen
reference to it. There's that scene in it, remember, where he's come to dinner at this guy's parents', right?
Right.
And so the mother...
That was tense.
Oh, it was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And she said, I don't think I like the way you are treating my son. And so anybody in their right mind would watch this and they think, well, why would you? Well, but then for a gay person, you completely understand.
Right.
And the guy it's because this guy is Alexander Skarsgård. He's so beautiful. And then with that prosthetic thing, it looked like he had this giant dick, that was...
Yeah.
And then there's these references. This one black woman says to him, well, how did you get a guy like that?
I remember that. Yeah, that was an interesting part of the movie. It was like... How did he get a guy like that?
The power of beauty
and a
large penis.
Yeah,
all that stuff that basically
power and control,
that you,
I guess, and it was interesting.
If somebody wants to,
it was interesting.
Serve beauty.
I'm glad I've never been in a relationship like that. Personally, I don't think I could handle being treated like that. I'm too opinionated. I'm too opinionated. I don't think I could handle it.
Well, you're probably a more well-adjusted person, I think it's kind of like, I think for a sane person, you'd have to be a little masochistic to, like I said, but the same thing with all these women in the heterosexual version of it that will put up with all this bullshit from husbands and boyfriends.
Right,
and
what they put up with, what women put up with shocks me.
Why are you...
Right.
It's like this big question mark and stuff. And so like I said, that's what I thought was interesting, why I was so interested in this movie. But like I said, so the mother is saying to him, well, who are you? And you could be and so then he says, well, he's too good looking to hide into, that you're too visible when you look like that.
Right. It's interesting. I think it's...
That was the one thing that made it kind of not very real is that he stuck out like a sore thumb in this thing, because all those other biker guys were. There was one guy that was limping around, that was walking with a cane, and
they were kind
these
of
other dogs, and
he did stick out like a sore thumb. You're right.
Yeah,
the other biker guys weren't very hot.
I mean, Alexander Skarsgård is a god. I mean, he is just something else. Again, from day one of his first appearance on the thing, and you're thinking, my God, he is a movie star. Yeah, And,
it's interesting.
But remember, he was in that show, Big Little Lies. Did you ever watch that series?
Yes, I watched that. Is that the show that's based in Monterey, California? Yes, I loved that show. I watched that at a guy I used to date every once in a while. I watched the whole series at his apartment one time. I binge watched it. He worked downtown at one of the hotels or something, and he left for work in the morning, and I was like, I can't put this down, I have to finish it. And he was like, well, you can stay here, but I'm not going to be back till whatever time. And I said, okay. And I watched it all day, all night, the night before, all day. I stayed up all night, and then I watched it all day the next day, and I watched the whole thing, binge watched it.
Well, you're thinking, how does this guy get away with all this stuff, right?
Right.
So he's like married to Nicole Kidman, and so he's hitting on her, I mean, literally, and then the other woman that he'd gotten pregnant, that he, beat her up or something, and she becomes impregnated with their one night stand or something. And they think, well, that makes perfect sense. You meet somebody like that, you think, oh my God, I've hit the jackpot.
Right.
And because everybody's susceptible to beauty.
I know. He is gorgeous. I'm not gonna lie, he is gorgeous. I did definitely realize that the dick in it was prosthetic, because I knew there was no way that he had a piercing like that.
It did. Was I hallucinating that? But it seemed like he had
there was a piercing.
A piercing.
Yeah, there was, absolutely. So you think that one is the same or different?
I don't know. I mean,
it doesn't seem like it has as much.
I bought a new DVD player.
Yeah, so you can't pause it.
Foreign stuff. And so basically on the remote, I don't like my old one. I knew how to fast forward and do all this stuff. And this one, it's just different, and stopping it and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, I was like trying to fast forward. Maybe I didn't have it aimed at the right thing. I don't know. I'm gonna have to. Sometime we'll put it in when you're over, and maybe you can figure this thing out.
Yeah, maybe.
But,
we'll see. I'm not sure.
Stop it at that point, because this one I thought it did show. Because like I said, in the HBO one, it didn't show nothing. It just showed that he goes. Remember, he goes to first. He goes to someone else, right? They're all bent over, right over the thing. They're just waiting for. And then he comes over and he goes to the other guy. So he's having that other guy servicing him, and then he goes Then he goes back to his fella, and then he says, then he's wanting to do to fuck him.
Yeah, I remember that. Well, it's interesting. It's interesting how they censor media. It's stupid to me that they censor penises, and then a penis would make it rated NC-17 or whatever. That is so
just
dumb.
A little tiny glimpse of it.
That's so dumb.
A fake one, even.
Yeah, I think that's stupid. But I mean, I wish that Americans didn't have such a puritanical mindset when it came to nudity, because nudity doesn't bother me.
Especially with the penis, because I think there's such a thing about size. It's kind of like talking about ageism and stuff. That so many people, they don't want to, that whole thing, size, color, height, all these different things that play into judgments about. So time to wrap it up?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for listening to the Henry Hudson Hour. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with George Oberg. If you would like to reach out, you can find me on Instagram at Henry Hudson Hour, or email me at henryhudsonhour@gmail.com. I always enjoy hearing from listeners. Whether you have feedback, guest suggestions, or just want to say hello, The music featured in this episode was created by John Bartman. New episodes of the Henry Hudson Hour will continue to be released every Wednesday, so be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Until then, stay curious, keep an open mind, and take care of each other. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful evening or morning or whenever you're listening to this day, I guess. And thank you, George, for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it. I know it's really late now.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.